I want to tell you a couple things about how me and Tony got into Mr. Don West over here.
Okay.
Today, as Shop at Home Collectibles, my man Tony saw you, selling cards and everything else you were selling, and introduced me to your show. I'm like, I know that guy, and we would watch this thing constantly. All right, like all the time. And if we couldn't watch it together, we would actually record it. And
are you talking the baseball card show?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you were doing the PSA 10s and the rookies. So we'd actually wait to have the opportunity to watch it together because it meant so much to us. It was so much fun because your enthusiasm as a salesman is second to none. Your passion for sports, and we're going to go there in a moment.
I'll be honest with you. People know me more from that even than – because the wrestling's its own little clique.
Yep.
The wrestling fan is there's nothing better than a wrestling fan, but they're their own little clique. I still, to this day, people with they might even hear my voice in a grocery store or something. They're like, man, you sound like the guy that used to sell baseball cards. That show was huge. People don't know how big that show was. We were doing about 150 million a year in sports cards for there's a true story. I mean, at one point I'd sold over $1 billion in baseball and Michael Jordan basketball cards too, because that was the big thing. But at one point it was unbelievable. Late at night, because at that time you didn't have 100,000 channels, so you had maybe 4 or 5 infomercials, HBO, and me, and I was the highest rated show at 3 a.m. sometimes. It was wild.
I believe it. It was unbelievable.
We had some tremendous nights, and to have you be dialing me right now to talk
the phones are locked up. They're in queue. If you're having trouble getting through, people, be patient. You got to understand, but you got to keep trying because we're running out of these things.
Absolutely. Listen, your delivery just knocked over stuff on my desk. Your delivery is so much fire and passion and intensity to it. So I want to ask you about, what was like your influence in sales and like your delivery? Where did you get, because it's unique, your phrasing is excellent, all that. All right,
you ready for this? Where I perfected my sales skill, I'm not making this up. I used to manage a Kinney shoes store in the mall. Now, do you all remember Kinney shoes?
I do.
Back in the old mall days?
They had Kinney, they had Stride Right.
And Tom McCann.
Yes.
Yes, every mall had a Kinney shoes, and it had everything. It was the family shoe store. So dress, casual, kids, parents, adults, it was all age. And I literally got into the Kinney shoe management program and ended up running a couple different Kinney shoes, one in Decatur, Alabama, and one in Morristown, Tennessee, and Knoxville, Tennessee. But I used to do this thing, and where I really started getting goofy was like young boys would come in and they want a name brand shoe. Kinney shoes doesn't work for a 14-year-old kid, but mom's got 6 kids and she's not going to go buy them. Go down to Foot Locker, which Kinney shoes own, believe it or not. Oh, wow. But go down to Foot Locker and get them a Nike. We're going to get whatever. But I used to start this spiel, and I would bring out this fake invoice, this fake form. And I would come out to the boy after he's tried the shoes on, and he's just, he wants to go somewhere else. And mom's like, we got the right price here. We're going to do it. And I'd say, okay, I need you to sign this, though, before I can sell this to you. And the kid be like, I'm not, what are you talking about? The mom's like, what do you mean I got to sign it? And I said, well, here at Kinney Shoes, we can't guarantee his personal safety from all the females at school once he wears this in public. I mean, these kids have been known to be jumped, mugged. I mean, I've known kids that have come home with 19 different brands of lipstick and had parents call me and want to know what's going on, and I won't have that. So if this kid wears those shoes and every girl in school wants to attack him, you're not blaming me. You're not coming in here. And I would start this spiel. And of course, it worked every time. Kids were, they were going out without them shoes. And I started it there because you'd work 12, 13 hours a day in these malls, man. I mean, 70, 80 hours a week. It was, and you had to, if you were going to do it right and do it well, you had to be different and good at it. And that's where the whole shtick started about, kind of in your face. Man, are you kidding what I'm going to get you right now? Do you know what these shoes are? Do you know who wears these shoes? Elvis Presley wears these, that kind of stuff, so Kinney Shoe Store.
Amazing. I could listen to you do it all day, bro.
Do you know who Vince Russo is?
I do.
Okay, Tony.
So I'm a big wrestling fan. And
okay,
fair,
does he not got the Vince Russo bro down?
He does.
Hey, bro. Hey, okay. Sorry, John. Go ahead, buddy.
You're great, but it's like at 3 a.m., like you're sitting there on your couch, like you were talking about late at night, and you want to make a purchase. I'm like, man, I think I need this. He's telling me I need it. You have to be dialing now, and I just the quickness of your pitch. It was always so much fun. And like I said, me and my buddy would watch this all the time and record it and rewatch some segments. And it really made me want to buy baseball cards, knives, coins, whatever you were selling.
Funny.
I started in knives. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I'm sorry. Funny story, though. I'm a big baseball card collector, too, right? I started maybe 1987. And I'd watch the show, right? And
69 for me, but yeah.
Oh, wow. Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, it was 68. 68's Nolan Ryan rookie.
Yes. And I'm like, oh my God, I knew some of these things were like, oh man, this is a lot of stuff that I don't really want or need. But I still almost called and bought stuff all the time. I'm like, well, maybe. It was unbelievable. And I'm like,
guys, true story. My wife and I were telling this the other day at work. True story. We're on vacation. Now the show's being done in Nashville, I think, at the time. Knoxville for most of my time. It was in Knoxville, Tennessee. And then my last few years, it moved to Nashville. 98 to 2001, and Terry and I took a vacation out to Napa Valley, and we're in Napa Valley in Calistoga, the city, and it's my wife's birthday, and the place that we're staying, the owner, he got to know us and liked us, and he said, hey, normally there's a 6-month waiting list, but I'm going to see if I can get you guys in this restaurant. It's called the Auberge des Soleil. It's this real fancy restaurant in Napa, or in the Napa Valley, and so, there's no prices on the menu kind of thing. It's really neat. So we get there and we have our meal and we're having a good time and we're on vacation. And there's this beautiful woman sitting a few tables over and she keeps staring at me. And I'm teasing Terry, my wife, and I'm like, Terry, look, that girl's looking at me, man. She's staring at me. And she wants an autograph. And Terry's just laughing, yeah, whatever. But then finally Terry's like, she is staring at you. So this is going on, and I'm getting the big head, So about time we're finishing up, I think, and I think we're getting ready to leave or something. We're waiting for a car, and she starts coming over towards us. And she's coming right at me, and I said, Terry, hey, this she's actually coming over. Do you have a pen or a Sharpie or something? I'm sure, and I'll never forget it. So she comes up and she walks up. She says, "Hi, are you Don West?" And I went, well, yes, I am. Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? And I guess you say there's no problem with words on this podcast, John?
No. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the only time I'll do it. But she looks at me and says, well, let me tell you something, you motherfucker. She says, you have cost me my marriage. Because of you, my husband has spent over $60,000 in sports cards. We're getting divorced. We got no money. He's bought a bunch of garbage. He's got all this boxes of stuff, and I mean and you talked him into it, and you are the devil, you're Satan, you're a piece of shit, and I mean just laying it on me, man. And I'm sitting there not knowing what to do, and the restaurant's trying to come over, and I'm like, hurry, get the car. Now, if I'd have been smart, I'd looked at her and said, so do you want an autograph or not? But I didn't have. I just didn't have when you get screamed at like that,
that would have been cojones.
You don't know what to do. And I'll never forget that. She's like, my husband has spent over $60,000 on boxes of cards. They're probably worthless. And I mean, it was just, you ruined my marriage, you son of a bitch. True story.
That's amazing.
Absolutely incredible. I could see how someone could do it. I mean, if you had the means and the funds, there was times where I had to, like Tony and my, many others, millions, like you said, were watching this thing, and you became like a pop culture sensation.
It did.
People were always imitating Don West, and it was just one of those things that was just, it lit, it caught fire, and it went viral. And you went viral before viral was even viral.
It did. You're exactly right. It went, magazine articles. I've been in 100 Beckett magazines. I've been
Tough Stuff, Beckett.
Oh, and ball card owners, and I go to these big conventions, and the little guys would be so mad at me. It's like, I can't believe you're selling it for 100. I'm selling it for 70. I'm like, well, you're missing the big picture then. Tell everybody, as seen on TV, $100. I got it for 70. You said you're not, you know, if you don't think I'm doing you a favor, you're missing out here. But plus, I'm getting people interested to come in your store now. But it was crazy. It went once the cable. See, when we first started, I don't know if you guys know this. When we first started doing that show, this was 1991. I guess is when I first started doing the knives first, and then the baseball card show, which is where I went. It was only people with the giant satellite dishes in their yard. You had to have a giant dish, and you had to aim it to Galaxy 7 or Stat 4 or whatever those satellites were, and you had to move that thing. And we were doing maybe $2 million a year in sales, max, maybe $1 million back early days. And then the cable changed. And once the cable changed, we started, like, we'd go on the History Channel, we'd buy out from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. And we'd go to other stations. And once we started doing that, about 1995, the whole thing blew up. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, we're in 80 million homes. And like I said, unless you're watching a vacuum cleaner infomercial, the guy with the pile of baseball cards laying on the floor was going to win every time. And this show went viral.
It was
and
unreal.
We went in 2 years, we went from 3 million a year to 150 million a year in sales. Now, looking back, I wish that I had a different contract, but is what it is, you know.
No,
but
so funny story, like you mentioned that, right? And I saw a tidbit once, or I think it was Bruce Pritchard. It was like a podcast or something, and he mentioned that you would outsell the gate in merch at TNA.
We were, in fact, no joke, we were drawing such bad crowds because they didn't know how to market.
Right.
We might have 500 people to 1,000 people at a house show. And we would we come up with all these gimmicks. I mean, I would take we started off where I would play like the wrestlers weren't there, but here's when they get here, here's what we're going to do. And I'd sell the programs first. And a program had all the pictures. Now I said, once you got the program, they're only going to sign TNA stuff. So you want to get the program. And we'd have this VIP early signing. So all 200 people buy the program. Then you bring them inside. Oh, they're running late. I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you guys get to the merchandise stand before anyone else. Right. And I had the brown bag special, 4 DVDs, a t-shirt, Jeff Hardy necklace, and a Hulk Hogan headband or whatever we were doing. So everybody pays 20 for that. Everybody pays, and you sell some big items like belts and guitars. So we're just raking them in the money. Then we bring the wrestlers out, and they start signing everything, and that's great. And then I would start doing the fun gimmick things. Like I'd have Jeff Hardy behind the curtain, and if you bought a Jeff Hardy action figure and anything else Jeff Hardy, he would sign it in the back. So we'd line them all up. Well, every kid's wants to go meet Jeff Hardy. So they're lining up. And if you want to meet AJ Styles, buy the AJ Styles action figure, and he'll sign it in the back. And then I'd set up Velvet Sky, who was so beautiful. We'd put her in the front and say, hey, if you want to get a picture taken with her, it's $10. And if you buy this $10 Velvet Sky banner, she'll sign it for you. So I'm getting $20. We were doing, on average, $30 to $40 a head at the end.
Wow.
Which is unheard of. I remember Eric Bischoff saying, oh, I don't believe that for a minute. And then he went out and saw the routine. And Bruce Pritchard, it drove him crazy because he was used to the WWE where you didn't have to do that. You know, you don't got to go hawk anything. Well, he said it on Conrad's show, Something to Wrestle With is probably what you're talking about. He said it. He said, I'm telling you, Don West paid, the merch sales paid for us for 3-4 years on the road. It was the merch sales because they weren't drawing big enough houses to make any money. But we would clean up $35 a head on 1,000. That's 35 grand on 1,000 people. And that covered everybody's airfare, covered everybody's talent fee, and then some. So, you know, it was wild, man. But we put up, I mean, we invented gimmicks. We just invented different ways. We'd sell a backstage pass that was just a piece of plastic, or, you know, the peel off that you put on your chest. That's all it was. Cost us, you know, $100 for $1. And we would take those and sell them for $50. You get to go backstage, you know, during the intermission and get some autographs. So, I mean,
that's great, man.
Bruce was right. Bruce is a good dude.
Absolutely incredible. It's like being creative, innovative. That's what, especially nowadays, Don, that's what life's all about. So we got to hit the reset button. But at the time you were doing it, people weren't thinking like that. Like, that's progressive thinking. Like, in order to spend minimal amount of money to make maximum amount of money and make people feel like they need something and have personality and engage. I mean, for me, I've been a business owner a long time, teaching music. That's a big aspect of what I do for a living, is selling it to them, giving them energy, passion, all that kind of stuff.
Aren't you a drummer? John?
Yes, I am. I've been a drummer a long time. I know you like music.
I love it.
Tell me about some of your favorite bands.
Well, I'm a 70s rocker. I remember, speaking of drummers, man, one of my favorites is Gilmore of Triumph and Rick Emmett of Triumph in those days, of course, Rush and Zeppelin, and we're big Supertramp fans, and I can go on and on. I just love good old classic rock. And then of course always love good guitar playing, but my wife and I, we're rockers. But then again, we've discovered the last 2 years Joe Bonamassa, and we've gone and seen him, rock some blues and all over the country. So, which is one of the best guitar players I've ever seen. But everybody from Santana to, I've probably been to 100 concerts or more. I don't know. I love good rock music, man. Good rock
blues
music.
It's great too, like you mentioned. That's like, that's where the feel comes from. That's the origins, in my opinion. I mean, jazz was the birth pretty much to everything. But when you think about it, blues has roots that goes back a long, long time. And when it's
about feelings.
Exactly. And that's what I love about it. And my wife is a big country rock fan, which has blues elements. I was never into country.
Me neither.
Let me tell you something about country music. It's all about getting laid, paying your bills, knocking out your rent, being blue collared, and getting your job done, and then
driving a truck.
Got to drink a beer too,
and getting drunk.
Yeah. Now my wife, it's funny. We were actually talking about today at work. My wife's actually in a Blake Shelton video. His his Some Beach video. They filmed it at my wife's bar. And there's a couple times in the back of the video, you can see my wife, Terry, walking behind. Now, she doesn't have a speaking part or anything, but you can see her. She got the short blonde hair, spiked haircut. You can't miss her. And you'll see her walking behind him in the video. But Blake filmed it in my wife's bar in the Some Beach video, which was actually the song that started Blake's career, turned it into a mega hit, But that was filmed right there in Nashville at my wife, Terry's bar.
She had a bar?
Yeah, she ran it. It wasn't cool. Ours, but she ran it, man.
What a great town, man.
Oh, it's a good town. It's a good town. Good town. In fact, we left there. We lived there 14 years, and I was just on the road so much with the wrestling. I was on the road for the last 4 or 5 years, almost 300 days a year, and we're my wife and I are really close. We're buddies, and it just. We wanted to make a move, and she followed me out here to a little town called Kashmir, Washington. So if you took the state of Washington, upstate Washington, and put a dart right in the dead center, that's Kashmir, Washington. That's where we live, right on the Wenatchee River. And she came, and I don't think you could move her out with a crane, believe it or not. She only weighs 105 pounds, so that's hilarious.
So you went from Chicago to Nashville to the middle of Washington.
Indianapolis. We lived in Indianapolis for a while, then Knoxville, then Nashville, and now it's right by Wenatchee, but a little town called Kashmir, Washington. Beautiful.
That's cool. So do you still follow college sports and pro sports?
Oh, I do. Like I say, I do a sports talk radio show, and where we're at, it's a big agriculture area and mountains and things, and we do about 250 miles square radius. And it's the number one sports talk show in the region, and we got Huskies and Cougars and Pac-12, and of course this year it's been a bummer,
right?
But I love college sports, cover everything, and baseball's my thing. But baseball, football, Seahawks is huge here, huge.
Yeah,
and Mariners and college football, basketball, and Gonzaga. I'm only a couple hours from Gonzaga.
Okay.
And that's huge here.
They're number one this year?
Number one. Dude, that's a great story. That whole
That's
I remember when they
unbelievable.
were the Cinderella team.
When we were
Every year they were the Cinderella, and now they're a top 5 program. I mean, they are literally a top 5 Kentucky, Duke, Gonzaga program.
They recruit like everybody else now, though. It's unbelievable.
They recruit a lot of foreigners. They get a lot of players from Europe and Japan.
The Eastern Europeans.
Yes. It's become a great hub for those guys to come over. Ohio
State's got. I'm a Buckeye, so Ohio State.
I went to Purdue.
Oh,
a real school, but that's okay.
What you guys did to us, though, I gotta say, that was the only time I was happy about us losing a game. That whole story behind that 2018 Purdue beatdown.
Oh, and the kid.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
And the sad thing was we lost like 4 games straight after that. We beat you guys like a redheaded stepchild, and then we couldn't beat Northwestern. I mean, it was nuts.
It was like an act of God, I swear. It was like the players were possessed. They beat maybe the best team in the country, and I'm watching it shell-shocked. I'm like, oh my God.
I thought this new coach was going to do the thing, but we don't know. This year you can't. Nah. Anyway.
I want to ask you about sports, Don, and I think it's amazing that, first of all, your show that you mentioned, I wanted to bring that up. You do 3 hours?
I do every day, 2 to 5 on it's a 560 KPQ. If anybody ever wants to, you can go to the kpq.com website, or you can, Intune Radio or whatever people can get these things at 560 FM or AM, 560 AM. Got a big signal, and every day, 2 to 5. That's what I just got home from today. So. In fact, I was dealing with a guy who was upset that I called him the Washington Redskins, and because I have a text line and phone line, and people call in and they want to argue back and forth, and I made somebody mad today that I'm all against this cancel culture bullshit.
Yeah, I personally am too. I mean, I saw today the Cleveland Indians are going to change.
Well, that's where it started. Yeah,
Atlanta Braves and
Chiefs.
Everybody else. Yeah, everybody.
Kansas City Chiefs. I said, who should be mad? It's not people mad because the name's Cleveland Indians. I said the Indians should be mad that they've had Cleveland representing them for 105 years. The Indians, that's where we rooked them. We didn't burn them but saying the Cleveland Indians honors the name. Who doesn't like to be an Indian? Tony, are you an Indian fan?
We're Yankee guys. John's from Jersey too.
I could tell by the bro. I figured he was Jersey.
The Vince Russo gave it away.
Vince Russo, bro.
How's it going, bro, over here now?
Oh, bro. He'd say, bro. Hey, bro.
So,
drive me crazy.
So John just started watching wrestling maybe, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I was a fan when I was a kid, Don. My favorite sports are baseball and boxing. I love MMA, combat sports, stuff like that. And what was it, about 3 years ago, on Christmas, I just caught up with Raw, and I'm like, this is so bad, it's great. And it was juicy, and then we went to events. I watched the event live, a SmackDown event, front row, which was unbelievable. These guys are amazing.
Oh, dude. In fact, you're getting to watch one of the best ever, AJ Styles, who's maybe their biggest star, really. Right now, I called just about every match he ever did for 10 years. I mean, seen him, he's my boy. In fact, I'm the one, believe it or not, I named the Pele. Me and Mike Janae, my partner, we named the Pele, and the upside down bicycle kick, and AJ came by and he's like, why do you call it the Pele? And we're like, you understand the upside down? And he used to move over the top rope. He'd do the Fosbury flop. Mike Janae named it the Fosbury flop. We had to explain to him about Dick Fosbury from the '68 Olympics. And AJ's the greatest, one of the nicest people, real person, real good husband, father.
What talent you guys
I worked with AJ. I was with AJ 300 days a year, man, almost.
So you guys had a ton of talent at TNA.
Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, not to mention the people that crossed over from Mick Foley to Kurt Angle to Nash and Hogan and Flair, and we've had everybody. Jeff Hardy, the Dudleys, we've had them all.
I think Bobby Roode has probably one of the greatest introductions of all time with
maybe the best.
The Glorious.
Other than Undertaker, maybe the best.
Right. Oh, yeah, the Undertaker. That's intense. But when Bobby comes, Roode has got that swag, and that song and the robe and everything. Like when I saw this, I'm like, look at that. I'm like, what have I been doing all this time not watching wrestling because it's so good, and the
You know,
storylines are amazing.
Yeah, well, that's what I learned. I wasn't the biggest wrestling fan when I started. They used to watch my ball card show at 3:00 in the morning when they'd arrive at a hotel, and they'd turn on the TV, and that's the only thing on. And Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo and those guys would watch it and say, all right, we got to get this guy in wrestling. And they actually tried to get me to leave Shop at Home in 2000. I'm glad I didn't, because WCW, to go to work at WCW, it folded about 6 months later. So that worked out, and Shop at Home wouldn't let me go. And then when I left Shop at Home, it turns out Jeff Jarrett lived right down the road from me. And so I met Double J, and we went to dinner, and him and his father and one of the Harris twins, and Ron Harris, and we just became friends instantly. But I didn't know a lot of this stuff. And I'll never forget, I was lucky my broadcast partner, Mike Tenay, is such a cool sports fanatic, and we became friends instantly. He's a big gambler. He lives in Summerlin. Summerlin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 20
And he's a big Vegas. He lives real close to that big casino out there. Yes, Red Rocks.
Yeah.
Red Rocks. Oh, what a nice place.
Oh, I love that. The rooms are great. The machines are terrible, though.
Oh, well,
They'll send you straight to hell.
It's a neat place if you don't want to be on the strip, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But I'll never forget the first day in the wrestling business. We're going down to our first show, Huntsville, Alabama. We're driving from Nashville. And Mike Tenay looks at me and says, Don, I'm going to tell you, if you make it in this business, and you probably won't, never thought I would, but he says you probably won't, but if you make it in this business, you are going to see things that you can't even describe to people. You're going to meet people that are unlike anybody you've ever met in your life. You're going to see a different type of character. You're going to see things. You're going to be places. And when you try to explain to people what you saw, they will not believe you. But it's the most unique living you will ever live. And I'll never forget that. And of course, he never thought I was going to make it a year. And we didn't know if TNA was going to make it the first year. Yeah. And then, of course, we worked 12 years together. But he was so right. I mean, it got to the point where, you're in the studio and Jake Roberts has lost one of his snakes, and it's, running around and you don't even worry about it. Okay, whatever. It's just Jake I can't explain some of the, people don't believe me. And it made normal life weird because you'd come home and then you try to have normal conversations and it just, you can't. And then it got to a point where it's too much. And it's just like, okay, I'm on the road too much. Normal is no longer normal. And I want to be a homebody. And finally, that's what we did, and I got in the hockey business.
As a musician, it's hard to come off of that. And when you get all these elations and high sensations that are out there, and then you come home and you just want normalcy, but then you comprehend and digest everything. And it's just a wild ride, man. Like when you're around, I couldn't even.
It's the music business, John. It's being on the road doing music. It's the same freaking thing.
Don, I've seen some of the nastiest people on this earth, greasy, sloppy people, get some of the hottest women you'll ever see. Oh, because they were good at music. And I'm like, what are they doing? I had a singer, and I'm sorry if this guy's listening. I love you to death, but he was sloppy, okay, and sweaty. And I'm like, how is he pulling all these girls? I'm going to tell you why. Don, he could do Journey. He could do Toto. He could do Michael Jackson. He could do Tupac.
Hey, hold the line, Toto, not Africa, Toto.
That's my boy, Bobby Kimball, man. I did a song with Bobby, and he's a great guy. Actually, I got a funny story real quick. He was in Vegas, and he was playing blackjack, and he forgot to cash in his chips for, reasons that are obvious. And so bottom line is, my man Bobby, I had to send him his earnings and collections, he's like, dude, would you mind if I send you the chips and because it was a substantial, it was good. It was a good amount. And he's like, you could take a certain cut. I'm like, I'm not doing that, Bobby. You're my buddy, man. Like, I'm not putting points on this. Like, come on, bro. It's like, what are we doing here? But Don, I got a couple more for you, brother. Your love affair.
Well, real quick, John, and then you mentioned about people, and you've seen the greasiest. When Tony, when I was selling the wrestling stuff, and we changed how we did a live wrestling show to sell merchandise, and we realized how much money. I learned the biggest rule of life: never judge a book by its cover, because these wrestling fans, some of them, nicest people in the world, and you would see people, and if you tried to judge somebody, you would think they didn't have $5 in their pocket. And these guys would pull out 50s and 100s, and I'll take that $400 belt, and I'll take that Jeff Hardy this, and let me have that NWO thing, and I learned, man, don't judge people, man. They're
funny
all
story, Don.
Oh, of course.
What my dad is a lifelong Electrolux guy.
Yes,
so
vacuum cleaner.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So when I was younger, I got into doing, door-to-door, in-home demonstrations and things like that. And you're right, man. It's the people who you think, oh, no way you're going to spend $1,000 on a vacuum cleaner. They buy 2, and then they recommend one for their aunt.
And you told them this. You told them the same thing I did at Kenny Shoes. That Electrolux is better than the Kirby. It's better than the Kirby.
That's exactly
100%.
Right. That's the way to do it, is put it in people's head and be creative. And you mentioned wrestling fans. I noticed that right away because I'm a huge boxing guy. And I used to go to fights all the time. I used to actually cover for media and press row and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a old-time boxing fanatic as well.
I can't wait to talk to you about sports and boxing, man. I can't wait to pick your brain about
I love the marvelous Marvin Hagler, Hitman Tommy Hearns, Duran, Aaron Pryor, Alexis Arguello. I mean, that's my baby, man. Hagler's my man.
Johnny still has my Hagler Leonard VHS tape.
Don't even get me started on Hagler Leonard.
He got robbed.
Got robbed, and he wouldn't refight him. And Hagler, I loved Hagler. He never fought again unless Leonard and Leonard was smart enough to know, I'll get killed if I go back in that ring.
That's right.
Leonard would never fight him again. And I love Leonard, but I'm a Hagler guy, baby.
Oh, yeah, Hagler. And he went on to do great things. He moved to Italy, became an actor, went out there and had a great living. And a lot of people, they don't do that post-mortem retirement in boxing, especially. I mean, we know the stories. And we have, Don, nowadays, like you see a lot of fighters coming back. Mike Tyson just fought Roy Jones. Holyfield looks great. I don't know how he's going to do in the ring. Awesome guy. What a gentleman. Met him a couple times. But he looks tremendous, and he's like 57. But it's like, so then you think, like, come on, like,
what a redemption story Mike Tyson is.
If you look at all the things that he went through, especially with his daughter passing, and
I mean, the guy was probably worth $500 million and lost it all. And look at him.
And we thought
I love those kind of stories.
That's amazing. And we thought he'd be, found in a hotel room someplace out here. And
I figured he'd be dead.
We all thought that, but look at the conditioning.
I know.
And he's positive.
He's entertaining. He's going to have his own TV sitcom before long, and we'll all watch it. I mean, it's
yeah. Speaking of which, I don't know, off subject. Sorry, you guys follow the Iron Sheik by any chance?
On Twitter, baby. Iron Sheik on Twitter, Bubba. Are you kidding, Bubba?
Is he good? Is he a good follow?
Oh my God, he's the best ever.
It's the most entertaining thing on the planet. I don't know who does it because it can't be Sheiky doing it. Somebody's doing it for him, but it's his side. Just I can't. Tony, you got to describe it to him because I can't.
I'm looking at this right now because I want to follow this man.
It's the most random, hilarious thoughts you could ever think of, and plus the deep-rooted hate of Hulk Hogan just comes out every once in a while, which makes
Brian
it funny.
Blair and his language is just out of this world. You'll hear the F word in every sense it can be used to describe things he would do to wrestlers that are probably against the law in 94 states. And it's the funniest thing you've ever listened to. It's just, I can't even describe it to people.
Yeah, I just hit the follow, and I'm going to definitely
and you will not understand half of it, John. You're going to get some of it, and you're going to go, what is this? This is dumb. I don't know what this is. And just trust us.
No, I will. And that's what I love, too. Sometimes when I don't understand something, it's equally as good because it's so random. You know what I mean? People that are on social media nowadays that I love to follow, I mean, I'm a big Sopranos fan back home in New Jersey. Like Steve Sharippa is great. He's a great follow. Very funny, puts out a lot of funny content. I had the honor of interviewing him recently. Just a great guy.
We had him at TNA. He came on TNA and did a thing with us, Steve Sharippa. He did a thing on TNA Wrestling.
That's awesome.
Great guy. I didn't get to spend much time with him, but I'm a big Sopranos junkie. Okay, real quick, the ending.
Oh,
okay.
All right.
I think he got clipped.
Tony got clipped. That's the end. Thank you, Tony. Tony got clipped. End of story.
I agree. Speaking of Sharippa, is that what happened?
I think it was Paulie too.
You think Walnuts?
I think Paulie was behind it.
Wow, interesting. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, I think the New York Mafia was behind it.
I agree with you.
I think Paulie's always kind of wanted to be with them, from Johnny Sack to all the other guys. He always
I think it's as simple as it's just
a liability. Yeah,
it's just going to happen, and what and that's what I loved was it took me a while because I hated the ending at first, and then you realize that's what the silence is. It's the whole story's about Tony, and Tony's gone. So we're done.
And Bobby Bacala, we were just talking about Sharippa. He says you probably don't hear it when it's coming. They foreshadow that when someone gets clipped in front of Silvio. And so at the end, we also see everything from Tony's point of view for the most part. Camera A, camera B. When he comes in, camera A, camera B. And then once he's in, you hear the door open and you see what he's seeing. And then the last thing you see is what he doesn't see. And it was I thought it was obvious. At first, like you, Don, I had a hard time. I'm like, is this how they're going to do this? And now that I've, especially during quarantine, watched this show a million more times, I'm like, there's some silent brilliance to this. There's some real captivating writing here, everyone that's involved in that show, whether I know them on a personal level or whatever, I just always felt that there's so much depth to it. Like Pine Barrens, that episode was just
best one. Oh, the best one when Imperioli and Paulie are out there and trying to find the Ukrainian dude or whatever he was. I don't know if you guys ever got into The Wire, but it's unbelievable. Breaking Bad, give me finality, great ending. Too many times they don't know where to stop it, and it's okay to end it. Just give us closure.
Empire. Yeah. Boardwalk Empire, I thought, went out at the right time.
Yeah, good. Well, that was a great show.
Oh, wow. Steve Buscemi. And then you also, with Vinyl, I thought that was prematurely canceled. I thought they had a lot of potential there, a story.
Yeah, I thought they tried to do too much. I know being in the music business, you liked it probably a lot more, but to me, it was kind of like, wow, I don't know what it was. I could never get into the format of how they were filming it.
They did too much mafia stuff. They mobbed it up too much.
Yeah.
Which
I love the characters. I love that.
Oh, Bobby Cannavale is a great actor.
He's one of my favorite, no matter what he's doing.
Oh, totally. So we're speaking about movies and film. What have you been doing outside of your show? Because obviously you're doing a lot of radio. And what have you been doing to pass the time? Everyone always wants to know. Like
my wife will tell you, I'm a TV movie junkie. I try to find the next good show. I'm one of those that I traveled so much and had to talk to so many people for my life, and I talk for a living that I probably drive Terry crazy. I'm a homebody, man. Now I want to come home and let me get in she'll put me in the master bedroom so she can move around, and let me sit back there and put on Ozark or the next new show. So if you got a good new show, let me know. But
have you watched Cobra Kai?
Well, I love the original Karate Kid. I don't know that I can do Cobra Kai.
I started watching. Sorry, John.
No, go ahead, Tony.
I started watching that Next show on Fox, and it's maybe 4 or 5 episodes in. It's super creepy though, with the AI taking over and stuff like that.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, no, it's all right, and I'm pretty picky, but
yeah, I'm not into sci-fi very much. I've never been a Star Wars, Star Trek guy. That ain't me. But I like a good. I just watched this great documentary about the pizza bomber from Erie, Pennsylvania, in 2003. He robbed a bank, but he had a bomb around his neck, and then when the police had him, the bomb blew up, and it's called Evil Genius on Netflix, and it's 4 episodes. You got to check it out. It's a real documentary, and it's a true story about this mastermind crazy woman, and it's I can't explain it. You just got to. I remember the guy. I remember when it happened, where he was telling people this bomb is real, and all of a sudden the bomb blows up, and the guy dies in the middle of the street. And it's a true story, and it's a story of how the different branches of FBI and ATF and the police they all are doing things separately. If they'd worked together, they'd have solved the whole thing probably in 3 months, and instead it took 15 years. And it's really good. Have you seen the Queen's Gambit, the chess thing? Have you heard about that?
No,
on Netflix. It's pretty good. The girl chess. But I'm I just love a good. I like a total escapism. Let me get something going. Yeah, and
we've been doing a lot of 80s like martial arts and 90s martial arts movies. Steven Seagal running back his best. Jean-Claude Van Damme. I'm actually doing a show tomorrow with some of my buddies that are actually, in the fight game, that work for NBC and CBS and stuff like that. They're great guys. They have a great podcast. I'm going to mention them right now. Brian Campbell, Rafe Bartholomew, and my wife will be joining me for this show. And what we're going to do is break down a couple of Steven Seagal movies, which ones are better than others. Because I've been watching so many of them. It's weird when you go back. Like Marked for Death is a great movie, but I'm like, this movie doesn't make any sense at all.
Which is the one where him and Tommy Lee Jones are on the ship?
Under Siege.
That's a great one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's coming up tomorrow.
Now, John, Tony, have you guys ever gotten into the Kung Fu series from the 70s? David Carradine?
I did not.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I am Kung Fu junkie, the original Kung Fu and how they filmed it, and the slow motion with all the fighting. But it was so ahead of its time.
Yep.
And when, finally David Carradine's like, I can't do it anymore. We got to stop. But it was one of those shows that, oh my God, the music and a Western about a Shaolin priest from, that's half American from China. I mean, it was unreal.
It's funny you said that. The fight choreography is amazing for its time, especially. Now, we did have a little bit of influence with the Bruce Lee stuff and all that. But
he was supposed to originally get the part.
Right, exactly. That's why I brought
up. He couldn't talk.
For a TV show, like the production, like really? Like at the time, like for me, I was watching The Best of the Best the other day, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Best fight choreography. It's still, to this day, it holds up. In my opinion, there's 3 movies, Don, that I love with martial arts choreography. Lethal Weapon 4 with Jet Li, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover. Wow, what they did.
Yeah, well, Mel Gibson against Gary Busey in that fight.
The first
Lethal Weapon, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one. Very honorable mention. The fight choreographers, like the guy I mentioned, the movie I mentioned, guy Simon Rhee, who was actually played Dae-Han in Best of the Best 1 and 2. He does the fight choreography for Cobra Kai, and it's weird how that connects, because I was watching Cobra Kai and I'm like, I love the fighting style, like I love combat sports, and then I realized I'm like, this is fucking Simon from the Best of the Best 1 and 2. This is why I like it, because like the certain style to it. Those are fun shows.
Hey, have you ever seen the show? It was on Cinemax, I think. It was called Banshee.
Yes.
No.
Have you heard about Banshee? Some of the greatest fight scenes I've ever seen in my life. This show, I never forget what someone told me about it. It's about a town where, I can't even describe the scenario. And I got so into it. But they did a fight scene with this girl and this guy.
Has like a Kill Bill vibe, right?
Yes, it's got a Kill Bill vibe. But these fight scenes, if you love, it was unbelievable. And they were believable. And the women were so good at it. And you bought into the women being just as good as the men. But if you've never watched Banshee, start it from start to finish till they end it, and I promise you, and they have a good ending, I promise you it's one of the greatest shows, and it's total male escapism. It's total hot women, great fighting, the good guy's a bad guy, the bad guys are good. It's awesome.
It sounds incredible. Let me tell you something too, and I'll leave you with this because I know it's time to get to dinner and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm good for like 15 minutes if you're cool.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Let's keep going.
Good, because I got a couple
appreciate your
questions
time.
before we go. So.
Yeah. I appreciate your time so much, bro. This has been an amazing conversation.
We'll do it again.
Oh, hell yeah. So with combat sports, I think the women are better than the men with mixed martial arts.
Now they become bigger stars, it seems like, if they're good.
Right. So I think that they become better because I think their agility is more cut for the rolling around, the wrestling. They have more, just agility overall.
Yeah.
Like women could be very explosive. And, it's like they got the striking down way better. If you watch women's boxing, and I'm a huge boxing guy, boxing's my passion. But if you watch women's boxing, these girls, they have their strikes down, but they don't have power. They don't have like much passion. It's very boring. Like, I'm sorry to knock on women's boxing right now, but when I watch, MMA with the ladies, I see a lot of agility. I see a lot of fire. I see a lot of passion. And I think that their bodies are it's more like they're gymnasts. Like,
I was going to say the best women's boxing match I ever saw was $1 Million Baby. And that match where she gets paralyzed. That was, hey, listen, though, being in the wrestling business, I've seen some female wrestlers. Gail Kim, Mickey James, Awesome Kong, the beautiful people. I've seen some girls do some things in the ring that, and any of them, if they see this and I leave your name out, please forgive me because it's just a time. But we were able to headline. We headlined a pay-per-view with Awesome Kong and Gail Kim having them. And now you got this big 200-pound woman, 250 or whatever, and she's the nicest woman in little Kia, but she comes out to this music, bum, Awesome Kong, and then Gail Kim, who's Asian and does kind of the martial art thing, and I mean, not only did they make it believable, it headlined, and when
they
you
beat
see
each
them,
other up though,
when you see them do what they can do sometimes. Man, it's when they get rid of the fluff and they actually got into the work. Oh my God, I was in awe.
I was in awe when I saw Lacey Evans for the first time, and I was really in awe of like the way she can maneuver herself, like a gymnast. But you also spoke about AJ Styles before, who I've watched and seen. His athleticism is unbelievable.
He's in his 40s. I hope nobody doesn't get mad at me, but he's in his 40s. Samoa
Joe, I was there live watching him, and I'm like, he's a heavy set guy. And
John, I remember when Samoa Joe's would be in the ring, and the entire crowd starts chanting, "Joe's gonna kill you. Joe's gonna kill you." That guy was so over and so good. You didn't look at his body. You watched him do things. He would do these kicks upside down. He would leap over the ropes, through the ropes. He had a choke slam that was the greatest thing I ever saw. If you ever want to see a match, John, I don't know, Tony may have seen it, but if you ever do, YouTube three-way 2005 Unbreakable. All right, 2005 Unbreakable. Three-way match, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's undefeated. He hasn't lost to anybody. Christopher Daniels is the champion. AJ Styles is AJ Styles, king of the X Division. The three of these guys do an X Division title match. It was our main event. To this day, I think it's the best match Mike Tenay and I ever called together. One of the best. I mean, we told a story, but it had nothing to do with us. They gave us the story. These three guys, for 20 minutes, put on an exhibition in the ring. I don't care if you like wrestling or not. When you're done watching the make sure it's Unbreakable 2000, the first one, they did two, but the first one, AJ, Christopher Daniels, who's with AEW still, Christopher Daniels is, AJ's still going, and Samoa Joe due to injuries, I think he's doing more announcing now. But the three of them in their prime put on a match that Dave Meltzer called it one of the greatest matches, 5-star, best he's ever seen type thing.
That was a smaller ring too, right?
Well, I think we had the 6-sided ring at that point.
Yeah,
we may have had the 6-sided ring.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, Tony, what they do, those three, the story, it's unreal. and you're exhausted when you're done, and you're like, how do these guys do this? And it's just you would think the whole thing was, I don't know how they, how it's choreographed is beyond me, because that's pros, man.
And not only that, but they hurt each other, man.
Oh, they kick and hit and punch and if you don't hit them, I remember Kurt Angle one time, true story. I won't mention the other guy because I love him to death, but the guy wasn't hitting him hard enough. They were trying to build this other guy, and he goes out there and he doesn't hit Kurt hard enough. And Kurt Angle's freaking Kurt Angle, man, the Olympic gold medal, maybe the greatest I've ever seen.
He's the
I never got to watch.
He's a bull.
I never got to watch. Shawn Michaels live, but Kurt Angle, AJ Styles did a couple matches. Kurt Angle, Joe did a couple matches. That I can't even describe to you. Kurt's maybe the greatest I've ever seen. But I'll never forget, he's out there with this guy. It's a big guy, and he's trying to put him over, is what they call it in the business. He's trying to help this guy become big, like Ric Flair did to Sting, make him a star. And this guy's, punching him, and buddy, Kurt changes the script right in the middle, and sorry, I ain't putting you over tonight, and basically changes the whole script and
just beat him up, right?
Beats him up. So I'm doing the show with Mike Tenay, and in the background, I hear noises going on in the back as we got still more broadcasting. We're doing a live television show every week. So I hear it in the back, and I'm like, what's going on? And Mike looks at me and says, school is in session, and Professor Angle is teaching a lesson. Now, I find out later what's happening, where Kurt goes back and says, you ever hit me with that pussy-ass shit again, I'll destroy you in the ring. If you're going to be a star, you hit me. You don't just fake it. You hit me. You make it, because I'm Kurt Angle, and I'm not going down if you hit me, like a wuss. You better throw that punch, and it better feel like it. And I mean, it was a lesson. I mean, Kurt was telling him, you want me to put you over? You earn it, brother. And you better make the world think that you can beat me up, because,
I heard a story
in real life.
I heard a story that he actually wrestled Brock Lesnar, like with amateur rules, and beat him. In the back.
Dude, he won an Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck against the Iranian, and that's no joke.
And he was giving up 60 pounds, and he beat him like 1-0 or something. Like, he got out of a thing, but they wrestled like a match in the back, and he beat Brock Lesnar.
Wow. Well, I got another story for you. I don't think he beat him, but him and AJ Styles did it too, because AJ was a big-time high school, or I don't know about college, because I'm thinking, but AJ gave Kurt everything he wanted. That's how good AJ is. But yeah, I heard the same. Same thing with Brock. I heard that Kurt was on another level. People don't understand that. Kurt was the. All right, real quick. I got a Kurt Angle story.
All right.
So Tony John, I get this script, right? We have our script meeting for the show, and we all get there in the morning, and there's only a certain people. You got production and the script writers and, the bookers and everybody that puts the show together. No wrestlers. And I look on the script, and Kurt Angle comes to the table, grabs Don West, throws him on the floor, and puts him in an ankle lock. And Don West leaves injured. Okay. And I'm reading this, right? For those and I'm going, holy crap, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And they're like, okay, Don, you're going to have your big moment, man. Kurt Angle's going to come over. And so Kurt's one of the coolest. I've still got him one of the coolest guys, good friends, still got him on my phone. And so Kurt and Sting are sharing a locker room, and I knock on the door, and I'm like, hey, Kurt, can I talk to you? And Kurt's like, what do you want done? And I said, you've seen the script. You're going to come over. Can we kind of go over this? Because I don't want to blow it. I don't want to do, Kurt looks at me and says, D-Dub, if we practice this, you ain't going to do it. So no. And leaves it there. Sting's like, yeah, dude, just know it's coming. And, and they basically see you. And now I'm scared to death. All right. I don't know how it's going to go down. I see these guys do this. He's going to twist my ankle in half. Right before the show starts, I'm in the back. Kurt calls me over and says, hey, D-Dub. I say, yeah. He says, All right, I ain't going to hurt you at all. I'm going to come over and I'm going to pick you up and put you on the ground like a feather. But I'm going to tell you this. And Sting's standing right there. He says, if you don't act like I'm tearing your leg off for real, I will tear your leg off for real. So if you don't sell this like it's the second coming, you'll be seeing the Lord real quick. So we do this thing during the thing, and the whole storyline was him and Samoa Joe were in this big battle, and he said no rematch. So I'm talking to Mike Tenay, and I say, well, you heard Kurt. There's not going to be a rematch. And of course, Kurt walks by and goes, what'd you say? And I'm like, Kurt, I'm just repeating you. You said no rematch. And he just stares at me instead. I'm freaking out. So finally he grabs me, and I mean, he's Kurt Angle, and he hauls me up off this table. I mean, you can YouTube it. You can say Kurt Angle, Don West. I think you can find it. And he grabs me and throws me on the ground. And again, like a feather, it looks like he's slamming me down there. And then he grabs my leg and he's doing the ankle lock. Nothing. I don't feel nothing. Now, I know he's doing it, so I am pounding the pavement. I'm screaming. Mike Tenay's calling for help. I'm just going bananas. I mean, they think I'm dying. I mean, guys, it doesn't even feel like my legs being twisted.
That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable how good they are. So the people come over to get me right, and they come over to help, and Kurt walks away. Next thing I know, I feel this shot of pain on my back, like a bullet hit me. I mean, a shot of pain. Something hit me. And I'm like, what the hell? And I look up at the guys, go, what you guys do? And they said, Don, it was Kurt. When he was twisting your ankle, he grabbed your shoe off, and he just threw the shoe at you, and it hit me. I mean, the heel hits me dead. I mean, there's a 2-inch imprint of this heel in my back. And Kurt was just in the moment, so that was the only time it hurt, and I mean it hurt.
He fired a shoe at you.
He fires my own shoe at me, and I'm wearing dress shoes. So I get so they take me to the back. First thing Kurt does when he comes to the back, and I'm waiting back there, he comes to the back. Dude, D-Dub, I'm so sorry, man. I was just in the moment, and I had the shoe in my hand, and I didn't think I'd hit you. And I'm like, dude, it's all good. Now, the funny part was, to be in character, my leg's been tore up. I have to wear crutches for like the next 6 episodes. My wife at home in Nashville, they see it all happening. She tells the story. Oh no, the crutches weren't supposed to be the real deal. That's legit. So I literally have to wear the crutches when I go into Terry's bar to have drinks. I got to have the crutches with me. And people think, that I'm literally, and they're like, if you're going to be in character, you got to play this role. And I did it, and I wore them crutches. Now, the great thing I discovered about that was I got to board every plane first, sit where I wanted, and I'll never forget the wrestlers going, oh, dude, because I'd get on before them, and their first time. I'd get on, better seats, got the leg room. And I'll never forget it. They're going, oh, he's in a crutch angle. Son of a bitch. He's going to be able to get the best seat in the plane, every plane. I didn't want to give up the crutches because I'm flying.
Like my other leg.
Yeah, let's do it. It's a true story, man. Love freaking Kurt freaking Angle, man.
That's awesome.
You were talking about preparation. I mean, for like commentating, you're just as swift with commentating for the wrestling and TNA and talking in general. Like, do you prepare much, or you just kind of just go with the flow?
You know what's funny? Mike Tenay was the most prepared person because his job as the play-by-play is to set the stage. Mm-hmm. And this guy's my best friend, and he meticulous notes everything. Just he has to set every entrance. He's got to tell the story as they're coming down. I mean, with me, I would try to do that, and he'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be like, well, I want to make sure I'm prepared. He's like, dude, make small note. You are color. You react. We don't know what we're going to see. They may not do it the way it's supposed to be done, so you can't react according to your notes if they miss the kick. If he misses a kick by a foot, you better not say he hit him. Yeah. And he was like, you just be you and do your thing and react. And it was the best advice. I mean, I would take notes, and you got things you got to know. But as far as, you just watch the action and do what a normal person would do when they do whatever it is they do.
When you
Yeah.
turned on him, that was one of the best TV moments ever.
You know, Mike wrote most of it. And when I'm going off on Mike, what you can't see is Mike's making faces at me and doing these expressions. And he's like, if you bust character, you're screwed.
Right.
I didn't bust character.
And he's trying hard.
He's trying hard. And he helped me right. And to this day, people are like, are you and Mike still friends? Do you guys talk? And I'm like, all right, people, seriously, get the hook out of your mouth, man.
That's like all these guys, I watch these stories and they're like, we used to try to make the Undertaker laugh in the ring. Like all the wrestlers used to try to make him break character.
Yeah, that's what he did. He tried to get me to break character and I wouldn't do it. But we wrote this thing and it was one of our best things. And I loved that character when I became heel Don West and I was the heel.
Great.
I loved it because it's like Mike told me, he said, you don't understand. You're going to be given the freedom that every wrestling announcer wants. You can say anything you want. Now, one of the cool things was I got into Mick Foley's book, Countdown to Lockdown. He wrote it about his match with Sting, and it's the first time him and Sting ever wrestled. It was going to be in a steel cage. As we're leading up to this, there was a point where Mick was kind of in control and he was going to make all these champions had to wrestle ex-champions. So Jeff Jarrett's got to wrestle Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe's got to wrestle AJ and you know, whatever. Scott Steiner's got to wrestle. And who does Mick Foley wrestle? A cardboard cutout of Rocky Balboa, you know, a cardboard cutout with a guy holding it behind him. And I'll never forget when this was happening, Mike Tenay looks at me and he says, dude, you got to call this whole match. And I'm like, what? He's like, you got to call it like a heel would call it, like it's real. And he said, because I can't call it. My credibility be shot because I know it's a farce.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy's got a cardboard cutout in the ring, but you got to call it like, and I'll never forget that. And I did. And we actually did it in post so we could stop and start and redo and I could get it right. And I'll never forget getting a call from Mick Foley going, dude, I thought I'd gone too far when we did this originally. And he said, when I finally got home after it aired, I said to my son, how stupid was the Rocky Balboa cardboard cutout? He said, dude, believe it or not, Don West took that whole thing and turned it into this hilarious, wonderful. And he watched and he put it in his book and he said, that's awesome. I gotta give Don West the credit. He turned that into something fun.
If anyone can sell it, Don, it's you.
Well, thank you. But
you're a natural. That's why I asked you, because I do things with my show in a very natural format. I have bullet points. I have places I want to go. But when I have great people like yourself on and my buddy Tony, again, a lifelong friend of mine, probably at the top of my best friend list ever. You know, I've known this guy since childhood when I was terrible on his baseball team, and he was always way better than I was. And he remembers that because I was a shitbag baseball player. Okay, let's face facts here. Don't like you were leaps and bounds beyond how good I was. But when people have a natural ability, you know, to selling, you can't really teach selling. You can show them certain things, but you got to have charisma. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, The Internship. Great movie. Vince Vaughn is in that movie. It's about sales. It's about people that don't have many, you know, skills, but they try to get like a job at Google, and they're so good at selling, they find a way to get in. And that's what, you know, for me, a lot of what sales is. But you want to, of course, always be honest and all that good stuff. But just an absolute natural. And let me ask you this about wrestling before I know Tony's got some extra questions he wants to throw out there to you. Did you have to train to like get beat up like that, or did you just deal with it? No training.
Nah, I got beat up by two people, Scott Steiner and Kurt Angle, and that was it as far as that. No, I wasn't. Are you kidding? At that point, if I'd have trained, I'd have probably had a heart attack. No, but I'll tell you what, you respect what they do. And that's why you can use any word you want to use with a wrestler, buddy. You use the word fake, buddy, they'll take a chair and smash you over the head and say, how fake was that? Yeah. Because, you know, you do a double flip off the top rope and the guy moves out of the way and you slam on that hard mat. You want to know how fake that is? You can say choreographed. You can say predetermined. You can say anything. You use the word fake and you'll have a fake black eye. I can promise you that. man. It won't be
Tough
fake.
dudes, man. They're tough dudes.
Yeah. But it was that was fun. That was unique. It was different. Glad I experienced it and met some neat people and
Sure.
you know, some people you wouldn't want to ever be in a room with again.
Oh, of course.
But other people you know, it's funny. I've always said it. The heels, the bad guys are generally the nicest people. The guys that play the bad guys are generally the coolest people in the whole thing. So, but it was unique and fun. But appreciate it.
When I saw someone get slammed through the table, like front row, literally.
Ain't nothing fake about that, bro.
There ain't nothing fake about that, brother. I had great tickets, luckily, from one of my friends. He was running the show for the Golden Knights out here, and he knew I was into wrestling, so he hooked me up. It was the second SmackDown that they had on Fox, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this is out of control, and they're actually bumping into, like, right where you're at. And there's times where, like, I don't know, these wrestlers are going to land on my lap. This is insane. This is awesome. I hope they do. It's fun. And so, I think it was an AJ Styles match, if I'm not mistaken, and jumping off the top of the ropes and smashing it. I'm like, oh, my, like, what is this? You never see anything like this. And I was talking about fans before, like, in a lot of sporting events, like if you went to, like, a Yankees-Red Sox game, good luck with fans being nice. Whenever I went to, like, any kind of wrestling, everyone is really, really cool. It's like a brotherhood.
Yeah, it's a unique fan base,
right.
and it's a loyal fan base, and I've learned to appreciate it more as I've been out of wrestling, because the longer I'm out, the more popular I become. So, that's a neat thing. They don't like you when you're doing it, but when you're done, they all love you. But I tell you, it's the neatest, nicest group. My wife got to experience it at a couple of StarCast events that we worked at, and
they look cool.
And she even said, she says, I can't believe how nice these people are, and everybody is just so respectful, and it's hard to explain to somebody that doesn't get it. It's hard to explain.
I noticed it immediately. And me and Tony used to go to Yankee games all the time, and we were probably the two biggest shit talkers, out of a capacity of 58,000 people. Tony, we were terrible. We were bad.
It was more towards the players than the fans, though.
It was towards the players. We were bad towards fans. But man, if you got us next to a player we didn't like, Tony, remember what we did to Carlos Lee?
Oh, he can't read.
We destroyed him.
It was terrible. The White Sox got it bad.
You Yankee fans suck. You know that.
We threw batteries at Jose Canseco. Remember that?
Dude, I tell you what, I made a promise to God Almighty when the Cubs finally won after 108 years. I've been so intense and screaming and F-bombing and everything in my entire. I'm like, Lord, you let me have this one, and I've now become the most mellow baseball fan ever. But
great.
108 years we waited.
How
you
ironic.
guys and your 27, 28 championships, whatever it is, can kiss my ass. But we got it. And what a game 7. And
that was awesome. And
maybe for you. Try living it.
We rented you guys Chapman that year, and then we got Torres for it.
Yeah, and you know what? We won that in spite of Joe Madden. He tried to blow that force. And
he sure did.
The night before with Chapman, should have never even brought him in. And then the last game, he should have never taken Hendricks out. The guy was freaking unhittable. And he taped. But I'll tell you what, man.
It didn't make any sense at all.
What a moment.
Yankees nowadays. And Tony, you know about it. Like, sometimes he's gotten a little bit better, our coach with the Yanks, but at the same time, it's like, it's very very
He's the same as Girardi, please.
Yeah,
Minder crap.
Yeah, you guys, you need a manager.
That's it.
You don't need an ex-baseball player.
Joe Torre was good, man. Joe Torre.
You need a manager.
He had the feel. He knew.
Joe Torre was winning with Paul O'Neill and Bernie Williams and that group.
What a team. What a lineup.
96, 98, 99, 2000. I mean, come on.
You had Chuck Knobloch that couldn't, throw to first base anymore, which was crazy. But we had the great Tino Martinez,
Tino Martinez, another great role player that people don't know how good he was as a role player. Bernie Williams is one of those unsung heroes. Jorge Posada.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know,
he should have got
come
more
on.
Hall of Fame consideration, but he.
Who was your backup catcher that was hitting all the freaking
Right.
home runs?
Oh, the backup catcher was hitting home runs. Tony, take that. You know who that was?
Oh,
I know Posada threw him out there.
No,
I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Backup infielder, mate.
We had Chuck.
He ended up having some trouble with alcohol.
We had Scott Brocious at third
Yes,
base.
Scott Brocious.
Who
Yeah.
was
Third base. Scott
tremendous clutch hitter.
Scott Brocious.
yeah,
Tremendous
yeah,
clutch
and then
hitter.
Soho would come in and get a hit whenever you needed it. And all,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Tony take this because I jinxed the World Series, and to this day I still feel like shit about it. Tony, look at his face.
You won't get any sympathy from me.
No,
Yankee
no
fans.
sympathy.
When
No,
you've been a
I
Cub-
fucked this up.
when you've been a Cub fan your whole life, I got no tolerance for people that want to bitch about their team.
Nah. 2003, done. 2003, we're sitting in John's house watching the Arizona Yankee game. Yankees go up, bottom of the ninth coming up. Mariano got the 2 outs in the 8th, 1-2, easy, nice. John pops the champagne before the bottom of the ninth. I said, what the fuck are you doing?
You talking 2001?
2001, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because
2001.
what was Luis Gonzalez was at the plate.
Well, that was at the end, yeah.
Yeah,
The whole inning just went wrong. He pops the champagne before the inning starts, and I said, "What are you doing? We didn't win yet." And all downhill from there. I didn't talk to him for like a week.
Well, you brought up 2003. You brought up 2003, Tony, and I'm going to have to go on this. That I'll never forget that one. We're up 3-0 in the 8th inning. Game 6. We're going to the World Series. We're going to play you guys.
Yep.
We're going to play the Yankees in 2003. And the Bartman incident. Now, it wasn't Bartman's fault. He didn't do nothing. He was a fan trying to grab a ball. People forget Gonzalez dropped the routine double play ball 2 plays later that would have ended the inning, and we'd have been ahead 3-1. And then, of course, you knew Game 7 was fucked. And that was a tough. That's why in 2016, when the dude hits the home run to tie the game in the 8th inning, I knew it was over. We're done. How we came back and won that?
Hey,
You know, we're gonna
drunkest I've ever been.
Yeah,
that was
we're gonna let
great.
you go here, Don, in a moment. Tony, you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to share?
No, it's been a real pleasure, man. It was a lot of fun sitting down and talking, and after having seen you for so long, it was great.
Well, let's do it again sometime, and I mean it, and you know, whatever topic, man. We obviously we all can hit a million topics.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we've hit Toto, Marvin Hagler, AJ Styles, and Nolan Ryan. I think we're pretty good.
Is that your favorite card?
Oh no.
'Cause I had a huge collection. I had hundreds of thousands of cards, and I kept 20, and I have not many favorites. So I'm curious.
The Nolan Ryan should have been. And let me tell you a quick story on the Nolan Ryan card. So my dad takes me to a game. Jerry Koosman is pitching against the Cubs. Jerry Koosman beats him 1-0, 2-1, something like that. Complete game. Jerry Koosman, screw that guy. So I get home.
Miracle Mets year?
Might have been. So I get home and I grab every single card that has Jerry Koosman on it, and I take a green pen, and I'm doing green teeth on these guys and green mustaches, and I'm defacing every Jerry Koosman card. Well, one of the cards I defaced, about a dozen of them, was the 68 Jerry Koosman rookie card, and Tony can tell you who's on it with him.
Nolan Ryan
rookie card. And later in life, I'm on Shop at Home, and I'm selling that card for $5,000 a pop or more. And you can sell them as quick as you can get them. All I can think of is all the Nolan Ryan cards I've got with Jerry Koosman with green teeth and boogers. I'm putting boogers in his nose as a 6-year-old kid does. I'm putting boogers in his nose with a green pen. That's where the green pen came in. I'm putting boogers on Jerry Koosman.
That's awesome.
I probably defaced $150,000 worth of Nolan Ryan rookie cards.
Oh, so do you actually collect or no?
I used to. I've done a lot of.
I did.
You know, my wife and I downsized, so we got rid of a lot of stuff and found our little dream cabin on the river in the mountains, and you got to make this.
Yeah, I was a weird collector, so I used to just like opening stuff, right? It was great. It was a real opening, and then I just had to get rid of everything. But I have a 1909 Cy Young. It's destroyed. I mean, it's if I got
I sold a 1909 Honus Wagner, a T206, and it was chewed up, spit out, and we still got like 80 grand for it. I mean, it was ridiculous. I kid you not, probably 80 grand for it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I believe it. I was doing some research on this recently, and it's actually sold like, at mint condition for over $3 million.
$3 million, it's actually not even mint. It's a PSA 8.
It's an 8. And
it's
an 8. From 19.
You'll never find a mint one. It'd be a fake if it was.
But
I bought this Cy Young card for $250 when I was like 15.
Yeah,
and it was battered. And I'm like, wow, this thing's cool, man. So I kept that.
No, and you know what's funny, John? That Wagner was owned by Wayne Gretzky, and the one that sold for $3 million that was originally owned by Wayne Gretzky and John Candy and McNulty, the guy that owned the Kings, and the three of them owned it together. And they gave it to Topps for like $450,000, and then of course the card's gone to. I've held that card in my hand.
Get out!
Someone that invested in that, they did it at the right time, and they made a lot of money out of that. Yep.
I held that card in my hand. That very card that sold for $3 million.
And that's someone that's the PSA 8. That's
PSA 8.
That's amazing. That's the card, man.
That's the card, baby. That
1909.
52 Topps mantle.
52 Topps mantle. That's the two holy grails right there, baby.
What about Babe Ruth?
There's a few of them. There's some rare ones, but nothing like those two.
Those are the cards.
And the 52 mantle, because 90% of them were destroyed and thrown in the river.
Bicycle spokes. And
and the Honus Wagner, because he wouldn't let him put them in the cigarette packs, and it's just, I don't know.
He wasn't on any of the Piedmonts or the other, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. So last question, if you have 1 second. I know Will Ferrell did you before, right?
He did on Saturday Night Live 3 different times.
Yes, awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Did you ever hear the Opie and Anthony stuff, and what'd you think of it?
Oh, I've been on Opie and Anthony's show a dozen times.
Oh, have you been on?
Yes.
I missed that. I mean, Anthony does a good Don
when
West.
He did the thing with the cards and putting them in the girls and
Britney Spears.
I don't even want to explain to people what that's about, but I was. I've been on their show a dozen times, probably. I don't know, or have done things with them a dozen times.
Okay. So, I mean, I thought it was the most funny thing I've ever heard. Yeah. Like, he's a funny dude. So
they helped me out too when I started with TNA and we were doing something different. They really stepped up and helped me out, and I was able to use them to help build my character, and they were great to me. Opie and Anthony were really good to me. They were
that's awesome.
Yeah, they were real fans, and I appreciate them.
No, for real, because I remember when you left Shop at Home, I was devastated. I'm like, what the hell am I going to watch at 2 a.m? And they had it on their show like the next day. They're like, Don West isn't with Shop at Home anymore. I'm like, wow, these guys know too.
Yeah, I thought I was getting a raise, and I got fired. I'll never forget it. But so we had a new ownership, and he didn't want to be known as the company that had the screaming baseball card guy. And I'll never forget that. Walked in to meet him, and he said, "Oh, this meeting's not going to go the way you think. I can see that already. I thought I'm getting ready to get the ring, baby. I'm getting ready to. They're going to give me $500,000 a year, and let's rock and roll." And nope. I was getting the pink card, man, the pink slip. But it all worked out because I was burned out. And you know what? You just gotta. I'll never forget it. And I mean, people don't know that I did that live. From midnight till 8 a.m. with maybe an hour break. And I did it for 11 years. And my health was shot. And the best thing. And then I ended up getting like, a year's severance. And my wife and I traveled the world, man. So
that's awesome.
It all worked out. And then I got back and then I got in the wrestling business and sports talk radio in Nashville. And I ain't complaining about anything, man.
Absolutely. Like I said before, you're a natural at it. The energy, like even if you don't feel well, I know about this. Sometimes you have good and bad days, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. That you gotta do your thing. And when you get passionate about something and you're lucky enough to do something that you love, like be talking about sports and selling, because Don, we know selling is a natural high. Tony, you know about this too. It's when you're making money and you're doing things and you're being passionate to your commitments, that's a high. That's an endorphin that goes off in your brain, you know. And then if you're doing it in an articulate fashion, and plus, Don, like, I know this as being, you know, you're also a radio host, and I do my podcast and all that kind of stuff, is that doing radio shows and having a natural high of doing that and making people happy. I mean, there's always going to be haters, right? I don't pay attention to that. I love the people that always chime in and say nice things, and to connect and have guests like yourself, which, Don, you were absolutely amazing.
Well, I appreciate y'all. You guys are fun. So fun. I'm glad I did it. And it's funny about the selling thing. Like, even my radio show now, it's all based on selling sponsorships. And you know, that's how you make money.
Yes.
But I'm hoping, but I've done it for so long. I'm hoping one day I can just have that job where you don't have to sell anything.
Sell, right?
You know what I mean? I am so tired of being, okay, all right, I got to go grab another sponsor here and try to figure out, you know, but the good news is I'm lucky. My sponsors all are friends and become friends, and they sponsor the show, and the show is doing well. So it does them well. But one day, guys, I hope I don't ever I mean, I have sold my entire life. That's all I've done.
In the world, Don.
And I'm just want to talk about Andy Pettit and you know, why is Dick Allen not in the Hall of Fame, and you know, that kind of stuff.
I'm doing the same shit with sponsorship. I mean, right now my sponsors are CBD and dick pills.
Yeah,
I mean, we all need that kind of stuff.
Hey, you know what? They spend the money, brother. I did a dick pill infomercial back in the day.
Get out of here.
No, I kid you not. I did a dick pill infomercial.
Oh, if I could get my hands on that.
I don't know if you can find it. I don't know if it aired much, but I got in the infomercial business till the guy that was doing it with us basically robbed us. It was one of those bad life experiences that you have to learn. But no, I did infomercials, and I did them with like Billy Mays and shit like that, and did some things. But I did a dick pill infomercial, man.
I'm taking right now to my sponsors, you know, potential sponsors. I want to get this. There's a brand at the gas station. I call it Love at a Gas Station. It's called T-Bone. But this thing, guys, you got to clear your calendar. You gotta have to take a couple days off. I'm gonna do it, Don West. You're gonna need some time off for a couple of days. But I'm telling you, you're gonna send her to outer space with this thing. Because, Don, let me tell you, man, this thing is like, there's no side effects. You know, like, I want to
kill me.
Yeah, it's called pregnancy. There's a side effect, brother. As long as your dick doesn't look like some of those vegetables that guy does on the commercial, you know, that's all. Hey guys, thank you, man.
That was fun, man. That was awesome.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks a lot.
I can't wait.
Thank you, guys. Peace, love. Let's do it again, and good times.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your time, man.
Tony, so John, nice to meet you guys, man.
You too, bud.
What a great time this was. Thank you.
Good stuff. Bye-bye, man.
Bye, guys.